Christmas, everyone. My name is Examine, this is GG Reviews, and I hope you're all having a wonderful time this holiday season. I'm doing the best, as you can tell, because, as we all know, the world is on fucking fire! Seriously, if I had a nickel for every time the Nostalgia Critic accidentally destroyed the world with his love of Christmas, I'd have 3 nickels. That's not much, but it's still weird that it happened more than once. So, to take our minds off thought of our impending deaths literally outside our doors, we're going to take a look at a series about people dying at a social gathering. Trust me, it's better than it sounds.
Nobody Likes Alex returns for the next season of his Escape the Night. Star, having survived Season 2, is whisked away to the 1950s at the Validian Academy as the new savant, and invites 10 new guests into another death game. How will this season stack up against what came before?
In order to find out, I'm going to be judging this season based off of the same 7 age criteria as last time. Number 1, the story, why and how everything happens. Number 2, the guests, based on our main characters. Number 3, the NPCs, everyone that's not a guest, or number 4, the monsters, the individual lieutenants or guardians for each episode, or number 5, the main villain, the biggest threat to the guests. Number 6, the setting, where everything takes place and how interesting I think it is. Number 7, the visuals, how good the season looks, the colors, the colors and all that, and the visual and the qualities of the visual effects. And number 8, the deaths. I think that one's self-explanatory. And with all that out of the way, let the games begin.
Episode 1 begins with a summary of how Season 2 ended, with Star being taken away to parts unknown. Parts unknown about to be known, as Star has been warped to the Validian Academy, and once Star heads inside past some god-tier light rays, she sees some tomfuckery going down before she can attempt to escape. She's knocked out. Lydia, the blue-haired chick, is named Lydia, by the way, throws Star out instead of, just killing her.
What are you, fucking stupid?
But we need a season, so the villain being a dumbass can be excused. For now. We cut to a diner in Alex's first cameo, as Star writes to her friends about the school. Apparently the postal services in this universe is complete garbage, as it takes 70 years for her letters to arrive. When they finally do arrive, the soon-to-be guests are not only given their outfits, but a whole damn school bus that can apparently time travel. Where did this thing come from, and how did Star get it?
There's a simple explanation for that.
The lever is pulled and we get a damn awesome wonder as the camera pushes through the bus, the names of all the guests flying by. Cut to the title card. The guests arrived at the Validian Academy where Star is waiting. She tells the others to act like they belong at the reunion, and after being signed in by someone that doesn't even care enough to sit with their head above the desk, everyone heads inside. It all goes well. For about 10 seconds before Lydia shows up.
We will have to postpone tonight's events due to some unwanted guests.
Out of the 11 people invited to the reunion, Lydia only knows that Star is unwanted despite never having met or even heard of the other 10 guests present, despite this supposedly being a high school reunion.
What are you, fucking stupid?
Lydia unleashes her shadow children and forces the guests to split up. After a series of puzzles involving a seating chart, finding levers, and straight up dropping people to get them out of their cages, the group reunites, where Star is accused of being evil for inviting everyone there.
Gee, haven't seen that one before.
After completing the mask and getting a lantern, the guests unlock the world's most unsafe lounge ever. I mean, for Christ's sake, there isn't even a door! Lucky the reporter reads off the usual end of episode 1 spiel. Lydia is trying to split time straight the fuck open, though unlike the previous 2 villains, isn't trying to take over the world.
I wonder why.
That's a mystery.
Lydia is revealed to be protected by a magical barrier surrounding her manor, and in order to break the spell, 8 gems are required. And they're in the hands of guardians who will only be unleashed when a gemstone is placed. And, of course, in order to take the gem from the guardians, there must be a death challenge, and the loser dies. Fairfox reads that the Shadow King and his Shadow Children were brought to this dimension in order to guard the first gemstone, and then the guest needs to head in the dark forest in order to face him. A lantern is placed, and the guests are greeted by this mofo.
No! Sorry. Guys, he's coming.
The Dark Reunion continues to turn for the worse as the guests are chased deep into the Dark Forest. The guests have to retrieve 4 lanterns in order to reveal how to kill the Shadow King, as he must be defeated in order to get the first gem. The guests split into 2 groups, with the first having to make symbols with cubes and the second having to step on the correct pressure plates in order to light up lanterns embedded in a tree.
I just said that out loud. What the fuck?
For the lantern puzzle, each time a guest steps onto an incorrect plate, their name goes into the voting pile. Eventually, they get all the lights up as we cut back to the other group, now tasked with finding the lantern among several bookshelves, with the grid of letters and numbers as their guide. Also, if the Shadow King grabs onto one of them, their vote automatically goes into the pile. And sure enough, the Shadow King shows up and drags Lucky away. The guests get the 3rd lantern and return to the lounge for the first voting session, with Amara, the does-not-give-a-fuck sign-up person from earlier, as the vote taker. Danny the singer and Lizzie the seamstress are voted in spite of Lucky being dragged away, all the failed guesses with the lanterns, and Carlos literally voting himself in. The death challenge to get the 4th lantern consists of finding 4 mini-lanterns in shulker boxes that they need to unlock with keys on the wall, but if they open the wrong box, they're temporarily removed from the game. Danny wins and Lizzie is eaten alive. Danny returns to the lounge with all 4 lanterns, and they reveal the Shadow Sword, which Danny uses to kill the Shadow King.
I killed it! I didn't get anything!
Actually, yes she did. The first gem. Episode 3 opens up with a flashback to the history teacher, voiced by Alex, telling Lydia to get the hell out of his classroom as his class is about to begin. After finding the book she was looking for, Lydia's eyes do that. Then we cut to the title sequence.
Nah, I'm sure it's fine.
The guests leave the lounge only to see that the entire area, with the exception of the lounge, completely covered in snow. The guests find the next book inside a classroom and find out that the history teacher was turned into a Wendigo, and that the only way to beat him is by building a totem statue. The guests come outside and are temporarily chased by the monster in the cold, forcing them to split up as they find 3 dead bodies in the snow to retrieve the first of the 3 totems. The class splits up to find the other 2 totems. Team Star heads to the roof to solve an audio-based puzzle, with some sweet text effects by the way, and after ordering the records, they get the second totem. Team Kidwiz head back outside, and after digging through some snow and redressing a dead body looking for Wendigo teeth, they're informed that in order to get the 3rd tooth, so that they can get the 3rd totem, there has to be a death challenge. Another round of voting commences, ending with Fairfox the banker and YTYT the musician being voted into the challenge. The 2 guests descend into an ice cavern and must collect the items once held by the Wendigo's victims. Fairfox wins the challenge and YTYT is beaten to death and eaten. The 3rd totem is collected, and with the totem statue complete, the Wendigo hands over its gem to the guests, and then just kinda leaves without any fuss.
I wonder if it's gonna come back in a later episode. Nah!
Episode 4 opens up on a flashback to the school's swim team as 3 students practice, only to be dismissed as complete garbage by their coach. Given the result of their meeting with Lydia, yeah, they took the criticism well. The guests, after playing a cursed record, unleashed the students turned sirens. Should have seen that shit coming, considering the damn record was cursed. Anyway, the sirens kidnap Amara. The guests are split up, again, with Star's group being assisted by a not turned into a murderous siren student. The group is forced into mini-challenges pitted against each other, with Star winning both the key and immunity from being voted. Lucky's group are locked inside the pool room and are forced to reenact the Siren's performance in order to get their performance record. They succeed just in time for Star's group to unlock the room and reunite with them. Suddenly the Sirens arrive, and they'll say they'll only hand over the gem if the guests vote in 2 people into their challenge. Kidwiz the actor and Fairfox are voted in. The first part of the challenge is swimming laps, and the second is recreating a color pattern with goggles, and the third is finding a record that's underwater, in choco boxes. Kidwiz wins the challenge, and Fairfox is dragged under the water and presumably eaten by the Sirens after drowning. Kidwiz is given the 3rd gem, and when it's placed on its pedestal back of the lounge, a dollhouse appears at the lounge door? Interesting. Episode 5 opens up inside the manor as Leonard, this old guy, informs Lydia that the guests have received the 3rd gem. This isn't a flashback, this takes place in the present. Past, present, you know what I mean. Lydia says the time spell she found allows a person to manipulate time for only the amount of time that the sacrificed person has lived. On a completely unrelated note, she asks Leonard how old he is.
87, ma'am. I have been your servant for 15 glorious years.
We cut over to the guest who brought the dollhouse into the lounge, and after knocking on the tiny-ass door, the guests are sucked inside.
You guys? Where the fuck did you go?
Danny and Kid Wiz wake up inside a room, and Diane, Lydia's sister, tells the guests that the dollhouse that they're in is a trap, with this shot revealing that they're separated into groups of 2. Lydia went into the dollhouse to hide the gem, but there must be a way out. So Diane instructs the guests to look for keys that can teleport them out of the house. We start in the study with Danny and Kid Wiz, who search around the room for 4 buttons to reveal the spellbook. Once all of them are pressed, the first half of the fire spell is found along with the first key. Kid Wiz grabs it and is immediately teleported out of the house. Cut to the garden as Star and Luna the Duchess are tasked with growing pumpkins. Once they turn on the water valves and the pumpkins grow, Star finds the next key and vanishes. Cut to the kitchen where Dawson the engineer and Frantic the explorer are tasked with making 3 treats. Once all the treats are made, they get a sleeping potion, and after dropping it off for Mom and Dad, the next key appears, which Frantic grabs. Cut to the nursery, which looks more like Andy's room from Toy Story, as Lucky and Carlos the sailor must arrange toys in a certain way to progress. Once they complete their task, Carlos finds Lydia's plan, and Lucky finds the next key.
Wait, did anyone else notice the dollhouse in the back there?
Dollhouse within a dollhouse. Dollhouseception. Cut to the parents' bedroom where Luna and Dawson wake up. They must find Dad's work clothes and place drinks in the nightstand beside the bed. Once hidden in the closet, the 2 receive the sleeping potion and Luna pours it into the drinks. Luna grabs the key and is warped out.
Oh wait, that means you escaped.
Cut to the basement where Danny and Carlos wake up. They have to find the second half of the fire spell that is locked in a safe. After completing a couple redstone puzzles, the second half of the spell is acquired, and so is the final key. Wait, does that mean Danny accidentally took the fire spell with her? I'm sure Carlos will be fine. I take it back. Carlos and Dawson are stuck in the attic as it, and by extension the rest of the house, burns and need to get the hell out. After navigating the maze of books and doors, Dawson escapes, leaving Carlos to fry.
Something I've been kind of skipping over until now is how the house itself kind of tells Lydia's story.
Each room tells a piece. The study tells how Lydia's dad was always ignoring her, staying in his office with his spellbook, where the first half of the fire spell is located. The garden tells that Lydia's chores include picking up pumpkins for the treats made in the kitchen, and that she doesn't want to disappoint her mother again. The kitchen tells how Lydia would bake treats as a way of comforting herself when her father would focus on her sister during magic practice. She wanted to impress her parents with the treats, but it never worked as they loved Diane more. She finally decides it's time to get the family wand with the help of the sleeping potion. The nursery details Lydia's resentment at the fact that she doesn't get her own room to sleep in as she stays in a child's nursery while Diane gets her own room. Her plan is to use the sleeping potion to put her parents to sleep, lock Diane in her room, something about the family wand, and that finally her parents would notice her. The parents' bedrooms show how Lydia was able to plant the sleeping potion in her parents' drinks, with the basement showing how she got the completed fire spell.
Now, Alex has stated there's actually a missing scene in between the basement and the attic scenes. Presumably, it would involve the final 2 guests retrieving the family wand and recreating Lydia's failed fire spell.
Anyway, the attic shows that Lydia accidentally started a fire that spread to the entire house, and as Alex confirmed in the comment section for this episode, Lydia's parents were claimed by the fire because the potion worked a little too well.
Now, a part of me feels a little bad for Lydia because causing the deaths of your own parents would fuck anyone up. But
given the fact that she murdered her servant to 15 years without any hesitation, turned a school teacher into a Wendigo for basically no reason, locked up her sister in her manor's dungeon after killing both their parents, and as of the end of episode 5, is responsible for 4 murders.
And this is just the first half of the season. It gets much worse from here.
Basically what I'm trying to say is,
Any sympathy I could have had for this bitch is null and void.
Holy shit, dude.
Episode 6 opens with a series of black and white tapes showing the herbology teacher experimenting with a formula that allows her to control spores. And when she tests the spores on a live subject, she can bend it to her will. I'd ask where the hell a high school got the kind of funding for this kind of research, but I'm more confused at the fact that the teacher didn't at all foresee the possibility of the spores causing some Last of Us mutations and going wild. By the way, that happens. The guests find out about the fungus and how it acts, basically like a zombie plague, and when they all leave the lounge to investigate, they come face to face with the biohazard. After hiding out in the greenhouse and turning on a generator, the guests are tasked with creating an antidote for the fungal infection. After digging up some dirt, luring a zombie into the world's most obvious trap since the trap from the Sisters of Web, and doing some math with flowers, Star, Danny, Frantic, and Luna use the elevator to head into the basement. After luring in a zombie with a special strain of the spores into another obvious trap, the spore sample, along with some helmets, are sent to the guests above. With the spore sample, they can lure in a zombie into another obvious trap, this time to cure the thing of the fungal infection.
The guests, trapped in the 1950s by an evil witch via magic, with very limited resources, were able to create and produce an actual cure for a fungal infection that not even our top medical science and researchers today can even accomplish. You know, maybe the defenders of The Last of Us 2 actually had something of a point when they said, oh, the fireflies could actually make a vaccine. Oh, am I kidding? They're full of shit.
The guests reunite underground to go confront the herbology teacher, who's currently doing her best Poison Ivy impression, complete with the hating humanity thing. The now not infected student makes a deal with the teacher that if she hands over her gem, they'll kill Lydia so she can be free. The teacher sends the guests down into a core where this thing is waiting. The only way to open the core and get the next gem is to sacrifice someone to this thing, which is basically an Iron Maiden.
Hey, remember the Season 3 episode Killer Dolls? You want to relive those memories?
Despite all logic, Danny is voted in, and despite the fact that she's willingly walking into the tree, some of the guests start yelling, "She was already walking in, you assholes!" The core is exposed, and not only giving the guest the next gemstone, but the student a chance to throw down a Mazel Tov that I assume he pulled out of his ass, down into the core to kill the herbology teacher. After placing the gemstone, Frantic tells everyone that they need to focus on working together when it's episode 6 and 5 people have already died. You're saying this now? The second Frantic attempts to put any blame on Star for their situation, everyone else shuts that shit down, with Luna calling her out for acting innocent when she isn't.
And I'm not playing the innocent card unlike you. I'm not passing the blame on to people unlike you.
Episode 7 opens up in Wonderland as the Red Queen is informed that the guests have received the 5th gem and that she's up. She decides, for basically no reason, to have this frog servant of hers, voiced by Alex, to be beheaded. The guests are instructed to go to Wonderland, and after completing a couple puzzles in the school's library, they're all taken to the Red Queen's castle. The guests make their way into the castle, but are separated. Star, Frantic, Lucky, and Amara wake up in the dungeon with the titular Alice in Wonderland. After brewing a potion of harming and throwing it in the guard's face,
Oh, that's really scary.
My eyes.
they all escape through a painting. Meanwhile, Kidwiz, Luna, and Lizzie build some garden statues, sneak past some guards in a hedge maze, passing by a literal-looking glass, and find a key that'll let them sneak into the castle. By the power of convenience, both groups end up in the Queen's bedroom at the same time where they find the gem, but it's literally been shattered into dust. Suddenly, the Red Queen arrives, tells them that the gem is fake, and has the guards seize them. Because the Queen isn't an idiot, instead of making the guests play a death game for her gem, she instead just calls for them all to be beheaded, only for Alice to arrive, distract the Queen with a smoke bomb, and everyone runs for the door. And because out of everything the guests have faced, a fucking door is their biggest problem, the escape fails, and the Queen takes Alice hostage as the guests are put in cages. While this is technically a death challenge, it's like the Witch's Child from Season 3, and then everyone competes and the guest in last place dies. Kidwiz unfortunately places last and is set to die via falling anvil. Alice attempts to save him, convincing the guards to turn on the Queen, but that does jack shit as the Queen pulls the lever, and Kidwiz dies.
No! Some
He exploded into leaves.
The guards then beat the Queen to death off screen as Alice gives the guests the real gem. The guests then escape the book via the looking glass and place the 6th gem onto its pedestal. Episode 8 opens up with the story of a mechanic that built robots for his gallery, but his heart was empty in spite of the marvels he created. Lydia allowed him to make a daughter for himself in exchange for guarding the 7th gem and partaking in the game. Eventually, because this always happens in stories with mechanical marvels, the other robots suffer a major malfunction. The guests, after solving a puzzle in the school's workshop, descended into the mechanic's gallery, which looks more like a giant-ass furnace. Fitting, given the design of the machines. The guests eventually find and free the mechanic, named Charles, but when they do, the machines start attacking and everyone hides out in Charles' workshop. Charles is more than willing to hand over the gem, but first he needs to get his daughter back and find her a new power source so she can sing the song that can reboot all the malfunctioning robots without needing the gem.
Why the hell he just doesn't have a button to do that is beyond me, but whatever.
After bringing the mechanic's daughter, Catherine, back to him, the guests are sent down into the engine room to kickstart the power there. They're successful, returning to the mechanic, who's able to turn on Catherine. Not like that. But she can't sing. No vocal cords. Don't worry, he didn't kill someone.
I used the vocal cords of a dead person brought to the school for science.
Anyway, the guests need to vote in 2 to go into the vocal extraction chamber in the engine core. And after this season's funniest moment yet, Frantic and Luna are voted in. The death challenge is another complete all the tasks before your opponent challenge, with the pressure plate maze.
I bet Ash would have loved that one.
Building a circuit board, and sorting tools. Frantic succeeds, and Luna is silenced. Frantic gets the vocal box, and Charles installs it into Catherine, whose song shuts down the robots in an incredible sequence. One of the rebooted robots hand over the 7th gem, and the guests return to the lounge. With the knowledge that one more person has to die for the final gem, Lucky does what anyone would in this situation.
I'm just gonna take a nap. This is too much for me.
Episode 9 opens with the story of the only student to be given a gem to guard. He was the class clown, the guy that made everyone laugh. But over time, people began to get bored and annoyed by his antics and bullied him. With the power of the gem, he could get his revenge via sick games. The guests get their instructions to find the circus, and after finding some less than pleasing messages at the student's desk, note to everyone watching, under no circumstances is it ever okay to tell someone to kill themselves. Ever. The guests head through and arrive at the circus just in time for a killer performance.
Yes!
With Jerry's death, his name is taken off the board, and oh wow, would you look at that, everyone else's name's on there too! After running from the clown guard and hiding in the weird tent classroom and finding this girl Sally, she explains in order to get the carnival master's, for fuck's sake, not that one, that one. In order to get his gem, they have to get rid of his hit list, the board with the neon names. He's under a magic contract that state he must kill everyone on the board, and I think it's implied that he targets whoever's on top first, but even then, no one on the list is safe. In order to get close to the carnival master, Sophia says they need to find a way to trap the clown guards and disguise them themselves. The guests split up, with Lucky, Frantic, and Amara busting into an RV to get clown masks, and Star, Dawson, and Sally setting a trap for the clowns. The trap is sprung, and after Dawson defies any known laws of physics, seriously, who the fuck gets punched from behind and gets sent toward their attacker? What the fuck? The clowns are trapped. The groups reunite, and despite the fact that all that they're wearing is the clown masks, the head clown is fooled, and they're forced to do a tightrope walk to entertain the carnival master. And just when it seems everyone's going to be dropped into lava for kicks, they're not. But Sally's mask falls off and she's killed. The 4 guests are then forced into a death challenge where they must compete in a series of mini-challenges, and whoever completes them first gets their name taken off the list. Star and Frantic succeed in getting off the list, leaving the challenge between Lucky and Dawson. They must figure out the carnival master's true name in order to put it on the board. Dawson manages to spell out Archie, which replaces her name on the board, while Lucky is left to hang. Literally.
You know, I think everyone's reaction to this death was the same, despite how quick it was.
No, please.
Okay, they're just beating him up. I don't see how this...
Oh, no. Please,
No!
get up there.
With Lucky's unfortunate death, Archie burns alive as his name is last on the list.
He has to complete a contract.
It hurts so much. No.
The guests collect the gem and escape the crumbling circus just in time. They return to the lounge and place the final gem. The power of all the gems combined break the barrier surrounding Lydia's manor, and the final 3 rush inside, but Star's nowhere to be seen, as she's with Lydia at the diner from the start of the season. Episode 10 opens up on the house fire that spawned this entire mess, with Lydia narrating that she didn't mean for her parents to die in the fire. Her sister Diane attempts to talk some sense into Lydia, saying that nothing she can do can ever bring their parents back. But because Lydia at this point has gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, she has Diane locked up in the dungeon as she begins the spell to break time. Cut to the present as frantic Dawson and Amara explore the manor in search of Star. Speaking of Star, we cut back to her and Lydia, who says she brought Star for a chat, who in turn says the funniest line in the entire series.
That's bullshit.
The delivery of that line fucking kills me. Star calls bullshit on the fact that after she and the guests broke the seal with the 8 gems, Lydia brought her to a diner. But Lydia reveals in an epic shot that the diner is just an illusion and they're still in the house, with Lydia projecting herself to Star as she's still working on the spell. Lydia proposes a deal that involves bringing back her dead friends.
Ever heard of the Museum of the Dead?
We cut back to frantic Dawson and Amara as they travel through several rooms themed after the previous episode's monsters. A dark forest for the Shadow King, an icy cave for the Wendigo, etc. Another cut back to Star has Lydia explain her deal. She's more than willing to let Star go to the museum. No, not that one. Lydia doesn't even know about that one.
Not that museum, whatever you're talking about.
In exchange for letting Lydia complete her spell and bring back her parents. Consequences be damned. All Star has to do is sign the paper and they'll be set. We cut back to the others who've made it through the puzzle rooms and are trying to be contacted by Diane. Their path to escape vanishes as Lydia attempts to convince Star to sign the contract, but hearing Diane's voice makes her walk away. Lydia breaks the illusion and states that if Star walks away, she'll never get the chance to save the friends she lost. Star claps back.
I actually wrote that down. What the fuck?
Listing all the things she survived to get here and that.
I don't think I need help to save my friends from a petty bitch like you.
Hello, 911. I'd like to report a murder.
Star finds Diane in the dungeons, and with the help of the others, who were literally behind a nearby door and are just able to walk over the black void.
That kind of kills the tension from the disappearing bridge over the void earlier, doesn't it?
They're able to free Diane and magic their way up to the attic to confront Mistress Lydia. Diane continues to attempt to talk some sense into her sister, but Lydia just keeps defending her actions as she thinks she deserves her parents back. Diane's attempts to get closer just ends with Lydia magicking everyone back.
Ow, my coochie, I'm bleeding.
Diane is able to get close to Lydia and the spellbook by doing the ancient art of lying her ass off, saying she's going to help Lydia complete the spell when she's actually changing it. Lydia whines that they were finally going to be real sisters and do the spell together, but Diane just responds with the perfect one-liner.
You will always be together. We'll be together forever. In hell.
A fade to white shows the aftermath. The manor is totaled to hell and back with Star, Dawson, and Frantic waking up at sunrise in the present. What happened to Amara?
Well, Amara, she was native to the 1950s, unlike the guests, so she was either left behind or presumably killed in the explosion.
Diane's ghost appears to the 3 survivors, explaining she brought them to the present and that she will be joining the dead soon. She wishes them all well before vanishing. The survivors look over the spellbook with the page of the Museum of the Dead still intact. When Star says this is the next clue, some old faces arrive to help.
What's up, biatch?
We end Season 3 with a final pan out over what remains of the manor. There's a mid-credits scene of a man and a woman identified in the credits as the Ancient One and her, approaching a glowing door. According to Alex, this is the most dangerous villain the series has seen yet.
But we're not at Season 4 yet. We got plenty to cover here. Merry Christmas, everyone. This is, yes, your eyes didn't deceive you, you're not crazy. The review actually did just stop right after the guests. Because I can't finish this video today. So I'm splitting it into 2 parts. The first part, the one you obviously just saw, is just going to be the guest portion. I'm currently in the midst of getting ready to edit the second half, which is going to be, the story portion you saw first, and I'm getting ready to edit the guests, the NPCs, the monsters, all that stuff. All that stuff is going to come at a later date. So because I'm an idiot, I kind of underestimated how powerful Filmora actually is. I mean, I'm having fun using the editor, but damn, it wrecks my computer sometimes. Even just exporting a single video with any other with any other program, I'm like, shit, crashes my computer. So I'm gonna export after I'm done shooting this, and I put this after my mind's all over the place right now. It's Christmas Day when I'm recording this, which is like holy shit. So after I'm done filming this, I'm gonna put this into the part 1 video, export it, hopefully with no issues, and then get that on YouTube. And then part 2 will hopefully be completed before the end of the year. So yeah, this is my number 1 priority. I really wish I could be editing this sooner. So yeah. But anyway, my full thoughts and opinions on season 3 will be in the second half, and I'm gonna re-record my my usual out of character spiel there. I'm gonna re-record this probably after. I'll do it soon. Yeah. So stay tuned for part 2. Don't worry, it's coming soon. I'm working on it. I just need a bit more time. So yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you take care. Stay safe.